If you asked anyone who knows me what career they'd think that I'd be least suited to, I'm pretty sure that YouTuber would be somewhere near the top of the list. I'm a very private person, I'm an introvert, and I live a fairly reclusive life. So why on earth am I doing this? I feel like if someone was writing an article in a newspaper, the headline would be something like, "Shy reclusive hermit becomes YouTuber." Shock, horror, scandal. But as an introvert, I've discovered that content creation actually suits my personality. And maybe if you're an introvert, it could suit you too. I'm not naturally good at this. I'm not someone who finds talking to a camera easy. I'm actually doing this partly because it scares me. Maybe introverts don't have to become less introverted. They just have to become less restricted by the introversion. In this year that I've designated for me, I want to see what happens when I stop hiding. People might think that being an introvert automatically means that you wouldn't want to be a content creator. But there are lots of reasons why I want to do it. When you actually think about what YouTube involves, it makes more sense than many conventional jobs. For one, you can work on your own, which for introverts is fundamental really. You can work independently. You can be in charge of yourself and what you do. You can come up with all the ideas that you want, and you don't have to listen to anyone else. You don't have to be surrounded by people in an office or some other workplace. You can work from home and not have to leave your home if you don't want to. You can create your own ideas without being told what to do. You can communicate with people without actually having to physically be with people. I literally can't really work with people around. I find it very difficult because I can't stand it if I feel like someone's watching what I'm doing. It makes me a nervous wreck. It puts me on edge, and I end up making mistakes because I feel like I'm being watched. So working around people really doesn't suit me. I like to just be able to get on with things myself. I've always loved photography, and when I was a child in those days, we didn't have cameras or phones. So when I was a teenager, I got my first SLR camera, single lens reflex camera. Of course, it was a film camera back then. So even that was restricted because it was expensive. Every film you had to buy, every shot that you took, you knew it was costing. If I'd have grown up in a digital age, things would have been unlimited, but you had to be careful what film you used. You had to consider every shot. But I used to love taking photographs of bands and things like that. Probably over 20 years ago, I did get a video camera, which I still have, a Sony camcorder that takes mini discs. And I have a whole stack of mini discs that I took, but I haven't looked at them for years. So I didn't really use this as a creative outlet as such. It was more of a way of documenting life, mainly my children's life. Although I haven't looked at those discs for a long time, they're very precious. My first SLR camera was a Pentax, was a little Pentax, but then I got this Nikon D70, which was my first digital SLR. This was very precious to me. I couldn't imagine life without a camera. This was before phones with cameras, so this was like my prized possession, really. Unfortunately, something happened to that one and it doesn't work anymore, and I had to get a smaller one. I've always liked documenting things and looking for beautiful or unusual, interesting things. Photography and video are ways of capturing places, people, animals, moments in life. Those moments can't ever be repeated. That's what makes it so precious. So in a way, I've fundamentally been doing content creation for my whole adult life, but it's just not been on the internet. A few years ago, I did start another channel. I live in France and I live in a château, And I started a channel to document my life here in this chateau. And when I started that channel, I realised that I actually loved the creative process of editing. I would get totally absorbed in it. Hours would just disappear. There were times when I worked all through the night and I didn't even know where the time went. It is one thing that I really do sort of get in a flow state with, because I just get completely immersed in it. I could spend hours putting footage together, choosing music, creating the feeling and the atmosphere, trying to put a story together. I'm still learning, and I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means, but what surprised me was how much I love the process of making videos and editing. So that was a bit of a revelation, finding out that I actually love editing. And that really just reinforced the fact that YouTube is kind of ideal for me. I've never really comfortably fitted into conventional working life. In fact, I always wanted to work for myself. My parents work for themselves, and working for someone else was never something that appealed to me. And at this time in my life, I just love coming up with creative ideas and deciding how I want to do them myself. I can't stand being answerable to people anymore and having people standing over my shoulder. Independence and freedom are an absolute priority for me. I love working, but I want to do work that I love. I want my work to fit around my life. I don't want my life to have to fit around somebody else's job. I've wanted to have my own YouTube channel properly for about 10 years. I wish I'd done it sooner, but maybe I wasn't ready, and there's been all sorts of things that have prevented me from doing it in a way. I guess I'm stronger now because I've been through so much in the last 10 years. I haven't really got anything to lose now. So I think that's why I feel like I've got the courage to do it now, whereas maybe I wasn't ready before. I guess I've finally realised that I don't actually need to get permission from anyone else, and that if I decide that I want to put my ideas out into the world, well, that's up to me. I don't need to ask anyone else. I'm not suddenly going to become an extrovert or some charismatic influencer. I'm doing this as myself. That's the only way I can do it. If you're shy or introverted or unconventional or feel like you don't quite fit into conventional life, maybe you don't have to become somebody else to build something. Maybe you can find a way of working that actually suits you. I don't know yet if I'm going to become good at this. I'm still incredibly uncomfortable talking on camera. I've spent nearly my whole life being behind the camera, but that's partly why I'm doing this. I want to find out what happens if I stop letting that discomfort stop me doing what I want to do. Maybe I don't have to become a different person to build a different life. Maybe I just have to become more myself. Maybe if YouTube had been around when I was younger, or I'd lived in a different time and wasn't a Gen X person who grew up without all that technology, maybe I would have decided to be a YouTuber or to document something much earlier on in life, in public. But now it's the time for me to do it. Maybe now's the right time. Maybe it's the right time for you too. We have to start looking at age as being an asset, not as a downfall. And we don't have to become old. We can still keep up with technology and do all the things that we want to do. It just takes a bit of courage and bravery and a bit of resilience and discipline. But discipline can be your best friend too, because it can help you achieve what you want.